Chris was sharing with me a new product that was coming online a couple months back. And he was sharing with me that it's bone broth and that you're going to love it, Jeff. And I have to say that I am an addict now, a positive addict. And even today, before I left the house, I filled up my Starbucks coffee cup with hot water. I went to the H&N Nutrition booth and bought two chocolates and one beer, threw them into the car, and I made myself a little bone broth, and I drank it. That's how come I'm so calm right now. Bone broth. No. But seriously, the creator of the bone broth is Jordan Rubin. A lot of you have had a chance to meet him, but he's a phenomenal gentleman, excellent family man. And with the click of a slide, hopefully we'll have Jordan Rubin's presentation.
It's great to be here at Prevention on Purpose, and I'm excited to share an important message that each and every founding father and mother of natural health held near and dear. And that is that the number one cause of unwellness, of disease, illness, is toxicity. It's been said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. But I believe that an ounce of toxicity could be worth a lifetime of illness. Virtually everyone who believes in the power of the body, the created body to heal itself, understands that cleansing and detoxification is the first step towards healing. But before we learn how to cleanse and detoxify, it's important to understand, where are these toxins coming from? How do we get exposed to these poisons, these chemicals? And I want to share with you some areas of toxicity that we can control. And first and foremost, our environment. It has been said that our environment is hundreds of times more toxic than just our great-grandparents. Both our external environment, you think smog and smoke and chemicals. Think about water and air. All of that contains chemicals that have been created over the last 100 years primarily. Many have been banned, but still exist in our water supply and our air supply. There's also indoor toxicity, everything from the paint in our homes to the cleaning solutions that we use. Most commercially available cleaning solutions and home care products are loaded with unpronounceable chemicals that are carcinogenic or cancer-causing compounds. We can help to mitigate the environmental toxicity, outdoor and indoor, by what we use to clean our homes, to paint our homes, to carpet our homes. Even simple measures such as houseplants, real houseplants, not the fake kind, can actually purify indoor air of toxicity. So we've got the environment as a source of toxicity, and then we have pharmaceuticals. I believe prescription pharmaceuticals in our bodies and then ultimately in our food and water supply are a major contributor to toxicity or total body burden. Total body burden is defined as the amount of chemical residues in our bloodstream. The EPA and the Environmental Working Group tested a group of people years ago suffering from breast cancer and then a healthy group. The average healthy individual had 91 toxic chemical residues in their bloodstream, and those with cancer had much more. Pharmaceutical drugs, antibiotics, vaccines, and many other pharmaceuticals, such as oral contraceptives, drugs or medications for heartburn, anxiety, all of these bring additional toxicity to the body. But it gets worse. You may be someone who's managed to avoid medications, largely avoid them, but you still are exposed through our water supply, our food supply. It is said that one sip of commercial dairy, non-organic dairy, can contain up to 31 residues of medications. So even if you don't take pharmaceuticals, you could be exposed through food. And let's talk about a third area of toxicity, and that is our diet. I want to talk about the less obvious areas. We all know that there's preservatives, there's chemicals, there's artificial flavors and sweeteners that are found in our diet. But I want to share with you two areas of concern that you might not be aware of. Number one, problem proteins. There are proteins in our diet that we consume every day, we might even believe they're healthy, that are causing many people to suffer from toxicity. One is gluten. Yes, gluten is a sticky protein in wheat, rye, and barley, and it can cause health challenges in those who are susceptible, particularly gut, immune, and brain issues can be caused by consuming wheat, rye, and barley. Gluten-containing grains, which are ubiquitous, they're everywhere, can lead to toxicity. Another problem protein you probably haven't heard of is called beta-casein A1. This is the protein found in cow's milk dairy. And for many, particularly if you have leaky gut syndrome, beta-casein A1 can cause problems. So what do? Avoid commercial and even organic cow's milk, consuming goat or sheep milk or dairy from cows that is specified as beta-casein A1 free. Or, of course, go dairy-free completely. Lastly, there's a problem protein which occurs in almost every food we eat from the animal side. I'm talking about muscle meat. I'm talking about eggs, dairy. I'm talking about grains, seeds, and legumes. And it's an amino acid known as methionine that occurs in all those foods. That includes protein powders. That includes meat. That includes seeds, nuts, legumes, and grains, as I mentioned. Methionine is an important amino acid for building our muscles, but we consume too much of it. And when we consume too much protein containing methionine, it builds up in our body and causes stress on our internal organs. You're going to hear in the future that scientists recommend a lower protein diet and a balance of amino acids, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Dietary toxicity can also come from stimulants. We understand that cigarette smoke and tobacco can cause issues. Alcohol can cause issues. The over-dependence on caffeine, which is a central nervous system stimulant, can cause issues. And even sugar. Sugar is one of the most addicting substances on the planet. Even sugar found in fruit can be over-consumed. We want to mitigate dietary toxicity. And the fourth area of concern that we can remedy is what we put on our skin. Our skincare and cosmetics contain over 1,000 chemicals that have not been approved for use in Europe, but yet are used here. We've only banned to date 7 substances in skin and body care, while the European Union believes there's over 1,000 that should not be applied to our skin, our hair, our teeth. Your skin is an organ. It's absorbent. In fact, I believe for many today with compromised digestion, transdermal delivery or skin delivery is actually a quicker way to get things into your bloodstream than by consuming it orally. What that means is you're not just what you eat, you're what you apply to your skin. We need to switch to natural and organic cosmetics and skincare to remove this source. What is this overabundance of toxins, this body burden doing to us? Well, it's affecting us in 5 different ways. Number 1, it affects our gut. Our gut is the brunt of the abuse. Our digestive tract is being bombarded with chemicals attempting to process them. And that is why many practitioners, including most of who you have and will hear today, believe that increased gut hyperpermeability or leaky gut syndrome is a major cause of almost every health challenge known to man. These toxins get into your gut. They seep through the holes that are similar size to Swiss cheese, and they go into your bloodstream and systematically poison you. Number 2, the joints. We have an all-time epidemic of joint ligament and tendon pain, soreness, and inflammation. This is being largely caused by the overabundance of toxins in our body. Number 3, our skin. People are spending more money and more effort for topical and even surgical solutions to enhance their skin because they are being bombarded with toxins, and your skin is an outward view of your internal environment. Number 4, your bones. Most toxins, including metals that we consume, mercury, lead, cadmium, and aluminum, that are found in all of those products, the pharmaceuticals, the vaccines, they're found in paint and other cleaning supplies. They are accumulating in our bones, and osteopenia and osteoporosis is at an all-time high. Lastly, our ability to detoxify is affected by these toxins. We are not able to get enough toxins out every day relative to what's coming in. It's as if we're in a boat, there's holes, the water's rushing in, and we can't get the water out fast enough because more is coming in. Our bodies, in many cases, are like a toxic Titanic waiting to sink. But there is hope. If you're here today and you're saying, check, 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 environmental toxins, dietary toxins, stimulants, I don't even know what those proteins are, but I'm sure I'm consuming them, and skincare and body care, and I am a 65-year-old woman who's applied 48 years of toxic skincare products, what do? Well, there's hope. Because I believe what we consume every day can help our bodies detoxify and rebuild like never before. And I always look to the past to find a healthy future. Ancient superfoods are what I recommend. Many of you know that I suffered from multiple incurable diseases. I've dealt with Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, diabetes, cancer. It's an encyclopedia. And through that process, I've learned that the ability to detoxify with ancient superfoods has been critical. And one always rises to the top, boils, if you will. And it's called bone broth. And if you're sitting here today and you're wondering, Jordan, if I were to consume one food today that could make a major difference in my health, what would it be? Bone broth, hands down. The extracted nutrients from the bones of animals, chickens, meat, even fish, has been prized for thousands of years but absent from today's diet. Bone broth contains proteins that will balance the proteins we consume every day that can be a problem. The nutrients in bone broth can hydrate your body. They're in something called serum-soluble form, meaning they get into your cells quickly and easily. But you know what? Despite the fact that I've recommended bone broth to everyone who comes to me for health coaching, Jordan, where do I start? Bone broth. Jordan, where do I finish? Bone broth. What do I do in the middle? Bone broth. The problem is, and always has been, they won't really do it. When your first pot of bone broth is simmering, after the cutting, slicing, dicing, sticking your hand in the end of the chicken that you never want to put anything in, by the time it's simmering and about to be finished, you pretty much need to make your next batch, not to mention the fact you could leave it on the stove accidentally, which I've done a few times. It happens. I've recommended bone broth for 20 years, but the compliance has been non-existent. When people do it, they feel great. They have gut improvement, joint improvement, skin improvement, bone improvement, and they're able to detoxify. Sometime earlier this year, I myself ran into an issue, having major challenges with my foot and my knee. And among other various treatments, I dusted off this old ancient superfood called bone broth. I began to make it, but with my schedule and travel, it was hard to do it enough. Then I found a solution where I could buy frozen bone broth, defrost it. I was consuming as many as 5 cups a day. But it was only because of this latest challenge that I discovered what I believe to be one of the most powerful tools for you and your health. On a seminar trip to Florida, unable to make bone broth or find the frozen kind at the local store, I had a powder that I was using in a formulation for flavoring, believe it or not. And it was bone broth in a powder. And I was able to mix it in water, consume it every day. My knee felt great. We had the product analyzed, and just like a dashboard above my head, I saw brightly in words, bone broth protein. Now, I've formulated hundreds of nutritional products, but I knew that this was going to be the most beneficial for all people, from young to the elderly to everybody in between, whether you're an athlete, a weekend warrior. And if you're here today, address the issues of toxicity. Take what everyone is sharing with you to heart and make practical steps to do so. But if you're going to add one element, why not put back the missing puzzle piece? Why not take the wisdom of the ancients, apply it to our modern lives, and begin to consume bone broth every day? Make it yourself. We've got recipes. Buy the frozen kind. But if you will not do that consistently, bone broth protein will allow your body to detoxify and rebuild. So I recommend that if you're someone who's struggling, make these dietary changes. But if you're wise enough to be here and you're not sick, but you are purposing to prevent challenges, which is the theme of this whole conference, the mission, if you will, then bone broth can just add to your already healthy diet. So I want to thank you for being here. Your voice and your habits, the proactive behavior in your life for change is going to make a huge difference. And I'm excited to be joining you in this mission of prevention on purpose. God bless you. Thank you very much.
We are indeed our